The View is off the air, finally.
And yelled, "I've done more for victims than you ever will."
Then I said to her, some few choice words I cannot repeating and give me the respect, of watching me while I'm doing my thing. Perhaps I want to play it again. Well, it doesn't mean what does himself turn on the television, girl, where you going? Where are you going? I'm leaving. It's just about it, and I've done more for victims than you ever will, adding, I've done more for victims than you ever will. Yes, you read that correctly. On March 15, she issued an apology for the language she used on The View, as if she were on a redemption tour or something. In a video posted to The View's Twitter account, the moderator apologized for using a word that is considered offensive to people of Romani heritage while discussing Donald Trump's loss of the 2020 presidential election. She said when you get to a certain age, you use words that you know from when you're a kid or you remember saying, and that's what I did today and I shouldn't have. Goldberg claimed that in her video apology from December of last year, she also expressed regret for her egregiously insensitive remarks on the Holocaust. When questioned about her remarks from earlier this year, she said, I tried to explain to the reporter what I had said and why, and attempted to recount that time. It was never my intention to appear as if I was doubling down on hurtful comments. The statements were first made by Goldberg on an episode of The View about 10 months ago. She later apologized and was suspended from the program for 2 weeks as a result of her remarks. However, Whoopi is at it again, and this time her apologies might not work. In fact, fans are saying that her co-hosts should get her booted off the show because of all the negative attention she is bringing anyhow. Whoopi criticized the use of imagery from the Black Lives Matter movement in Jason Aldean's most recent music video on The View, saying that the protesters were only looking out for their community and taking care of one another in the face of what they perceived as injustice. You just have to realize that when you make it about Black Lives Matter, people kind of say, well, are you? Whoopi couldn't help but point out that mentioning Black Lives Matter would raise doubts and concerns about the video's message. She then criticized Jason and the writers for their creative decisions, which was odd because it never occurred to them that these people might be thinking that way. Jason, on the other hand, responded to Whoopi's accusations right away in a stirring demonstration of unity and resiliency all. During one of his concerts, Dean directly addressed the issue, expounding on the significance of Try That in a small town and the rationale behind the courtroom site. Aldean claimed that the song is about standing up for one another and opposing violence and destruction regardless of race or ethnicity. He also expressed his displeasure with the music industry's double standards, which allow songs that encourage violence, drug use, and the devaluation of women to be praised and rewarded, but attack and misrepresent songs that promote unity and community. He tweeted, I've been accused of releasing a pro-lynching song. These references are risky in addition to being worthless. While I can try and respect others to have their own interpretation of a song with music, this one goes too far. Whoopi Goldberg's candid remarks on Jason Aldean's contentious music video have also sparked a flurry of reactions from fans. While some fans appreciate her perspective, there are those who are not. There is not a single lyric in the song that references race or points to it, and there is not a single video clip that isn't real news footage. It's time someone stood up to these self-appointed virtue signalers because their views are not virtuous and they are ignorant. Don't try to make up Whoopi this time because it won't work, one fan commented. Another fan added, I think these women are compromising their principles throughout the entire show. The View and the network should be sued because there is a thin line between free speech and slander/defamation. Whoopi is making viewers of this show feel bad, and this is just the tip of the iceberg in the recent weeks. Last week, Miss Whoopi had a major meltdown that had everyone's jaws on the floor. The topic of discussion was all about couples who were having trouble getting along, talking about water resistance and poolside antics. Yes, you read that correctly. Despite being 80 years old, Joy Bahar couldn't resist looking for even more interesting information. Deeds and Whoopi, well, she didn't hold back diving into the nitty-gritty of it all. But wait for it, the show's producer Brian Teta tried to hit the brakes, and Whoopi was having none of it. She was like, "Hold up, you tell me to get into it, and now you want to shut me down." The drama was off the chart. But that's not all, our girls. Not only did she dive into it, but she also dived into the drama of the show's cast members. Whoopi has been on a roll lately. She recently targeted none other than Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, and she didn't hold back at all. In fact, she rallied her co-host to participate in the shade-throwing. The star prefers that television remain what it is at her ripe age of 67. Unleashed a verbal bombardment during the show that was comparable to a thunderstorm in the summer. The current subject: can you believe DeSantis defended Florida's new school curriculum, which some claim implies that slaves benefited from their own forced labor? In a shocking display of unrestrained candor, our Oscar-winning diva slammed DeSantis on live television, labeling him a disgrace, while Whoopi was steaming hotter than a freshly made cappuccino. The tension was palpable as her co-host, Alyssa Farah Griffin, spoke up and expressed her displeasure with the governor she used to work with in the White House. As the discussion progressed, the studio audience was left in awe as Whoopi spoke to DeSantis directly. It seemed as if the entire world was waiting for her next words as passion burned in her eyes. DeSantis appeared to be fanning, and Ana Navarro, who is no new to incisive criticism, rushed in to give her own flavor to the conversation. She lives in Florida and had a front-row view to the culture wars. As Navarro passionately defended the importance of teaching the brutal reality of history, the studio audience erupted in applause. However, the drama didn't end with the guests. Even Alyssa Farah Griffin, who is typically poised and eloquent, couldn't help but express her frustration with DeSantis' stan. "I missed the Ron DeSantis I knew in the House," Griffin lamented. Her words met with an almost eerie silence that hung in the air like a suspended note in a symphony as the cameras cut to a commercial break. It was a brief respite from the verbal fireworks, and a moment to catch our breath before the storm resumed. When the show resumed from the break, Whoopi didn't let up. She rallied her co-stars. Whoopi's remarks eventually caused a backlash from program viewers online. How can this venom-hating woman spew so much hate against anyone who disagrees with her beliefs and yet be on television? Was another question that a fan posed, to which she received several comments from supporters simply saying yes. Another fan said, "The view seems to get worse and worse as the months go by. The lefty ladies are always embarrassing themselves. Would you care if it got cancelled?" To which they received the reply, "Don't cancel it, we have to have something to laugh at out." In any case, whispers in the air reports that the directors of The View are reportedly practically in a tizzy over whether to fire Whoopi and attempt to salvage the wreckage.